Hey bird lovers, it's time for Avian First Aid, Episode 4. Dr. Gordy's going to tell us about traveling with your bird to the vet.
If you think that you're going to need to transport the bird to the veterinary clinic, call ahead if you can. It really helps us to know when you're coming. We can get oxygen on, we can get the incubators warmed up, we can have our best technician not go for lunch right now. So it really helps us if we know you're coming, what the problem is and what time you think you'll get there. And often what happens when you phone a veterinary clinic, we're there to look after other pets, and that's what we're doing, and that's what the receptionist tells you. If you can work through them, that's really useful for us. If you can say, can you go tell Dr. Gordy that my bird is doing blah, 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 and she can come to me, and if I'm in surgery doing a C-section on someone's pet, I can say, tell them, come right now, tell them, do this first, and it really helps us way better than leaving a message because I have to have the vet phone me before I can do anything, because by the time I finish what I'm doing, then we've lost precious time. So it helps if you can use, go through our receptionists and go back and forth. That's really useful. We talked about a carrier. There's multiple types of carriers to have, and usually you're set up with them anyway because you're bringing your birds to various places. The ones that I find really useful are those little plexiglass ones that are actually for reptiles, and they have a little vent thing on the top. They're good for small and medium-sized birds. You can see through them so you can assess your bird as you're traveling. They're easy for us to catch birds and for you to catch birds out of, and they also double well as hospital cages because they're flat and an injured bird can't climb the side, hang on the top, and then fall. So that is a good choice. If you're traveling with your bird, take out the water and take out any swinging toys or perches, because as you go around corners, it can knock your bird over or knock your bird off. The water always spills and makes a mess in the bottom. So usually, it's not going to be a long trip anyway. Take that out. Temperature is extremely important in any kind of first aid or sick bird. Their body temperature is several degrees higher than ours, and with any kind of illness, blood loss, shock, their temperature drops really quickly. So warming a bird up is super important. If you have a little hospital cage or any kind of other small cage, you can put a heating pad right underneath it. I put a heating pad under it, and then I put a towel on top, because some of the heating pads can get too hot, and if the bird is unable to move around, you can burn them even through that. So I put the heating pad underneath, then I put the cage thing, then I put the towel in, then I put the bird on. I like a smaller cage rather than a bigger one. It heats up quicker, and they're likely or hopefully not going to be in there for long anyway, but it heats up quicker, and the ones with the solid sides aren't so vulnerable to getting drafts. So the solid-sided cages are fine. For a bigger bird, the dog cages work well. Often you can modify them and put a perch across, and you can do the same thing. You can put a heating pad underneath. Heat lamps shining down are okay, but it takes quite a bit longer for them to warm up because heat rises. So if you put it underneath, it rises up, and then if you cover those cages, they can get warm fairly quickly, which is good. And then you should have a blanket to cover it to keep the heat, etc.
Of course, smaller birds are easier to handle than larger birds, but larger birds are also a little tougher than small birds. Small birds can be rather fragile. Hopefully none of us will ever have to use these procedures, but it's good to know. The important thing is to get to the vet, and to get there in a timely fashion. The quicker you get to the vet, the better chance your bird stands of surviving. So that's the scoop on traveling with your bird. The next episode will deal with catching your bird.